One of the biggest toss-ups for 291 that I absolutely love is has definitely got to be Bryce Mitchell stepping in for Josh Emmett. And Bryce has become kind of a meme, right? With him, I respect the fact that he believes in something. I might not agree with everything he says. I'm not too sure I agree about the shape of the earth, but if I listen to what he's talking about, right? And you could put it together, and I can understand why you think the earth is flat. Okay. You know what? You you at least have some reasoning behind it, So if you want to believe that, go ahead, man. It is what it is, and sometimes him holding up the holy Bible shouting freedom. Whatever makes you fight better, dude. And you got to respect that. I'm also a big fan of farming, organic, growing food. That's what he does. And you know what? That's how he makes his money. Good for him, dude. If he's being a productive member of society outside of the UFC on his own terms, selling to local farmer markets and stuff. I don't know if that's what he does, but the lifestyle that he lives, right? I would love to go out camping with Bryce Mitchell for like just a weekend or something like that. He just seems like a guy I like to hang out with. But this Josh Emmett fight shows that he's willing to step it up. Because you think after that Ilya Taporia fight, his stock would have dropped, which it did. And unfortunately, it was right after his fight against Edson Barboza. Edson Barboza and Josh Emmett are a very similar scenario when it comes to Bryce Mitchell. So when I first watched Bryce Mitchell fight in the UFC, he was fighting a lot of non-ranked guys. He was fighting a lot of people who just haven't been in the top 15 or were out of the top 15 or past their stuff, right? And you could tell this guy had moves. You could tell that he had some severe groundwork too. He was a force to be reckoned with, and he's been around for a while, right? He got the camo shorts, and he's just made waves without being in the rankings for too long, right? So I like the fact that he's made it further. And when he got to Edson Barboza, I thought power striker against a guy who's grappling and has some very questionable strike technique. But you know what? He fought a very smart fight against Edson Barboza. And you never thought that he was going to do that. I had Edson winning that fight, but Bryce came out on top, you know? And you know what I said? I actually 100% believe in this kid now because he continues to get better. Now, the Ilya Taporia fight happened, and Ilya's Ilya, right? And Ilya put him away in 2 rounds. And there's not a whole lot you can say. I think Bryce Mitchell at the time got a little too into his conspiracy realm, got a little into his own rap albums, and I don't mind the rap albums, but you could tell he just was kind of like letting the fame get to him a little bit with Ilya Taporia, and it backfired. Then he comes back, Dan Ige, which I said was the perfect fight for him, and I'm glad they made that fight. And he had some questionable moments in that, but he came out on top. So good for Bryce for beating Dan Ige. Um, Now he's stepping up against Josh Emmett. Josh is coming off of a couple losses against the top of the division, the best the division has to offer, right? And Josh Emmett is just, he's a power puncher. He's the type of person, I think if he hits Bryce, he could do some damage. He could ring his bell a little bit. If you ring a black belt's bell, their grappling skills are going to get significantly reduced. It just happens. Jiu-jitsu is way different from MMA. When you add strikes, it's a very different sport. Um, but Bryce, I feel like he needs to work on his striking basics and his defense and get the fight to the ground if he wants to win this one. Because Josh Emmett, I kind of view as sort of a proto Edson. He's had some losses, he's taken some damage. Not as much as Edson, but Edson's a veteran to the sport. He's been around a lot longer than Josh Emmett has. I believe so. I might be wrong about that. But Josh, his stock hasn't been up here for as long as I think Edson's has, right? So to see Josh Emmett have a stand-in for Bryce Mitchell on short notice, right? Bryce is taking this on short notice, so if he loses, he could regroup, right? But this also really shows just how good he's willing to be. If he's ready for the top 5, if he's ready for anything of that nature. And I really want to see Bryce succeed because he's a gifted grappler. He's a meme. He can spew what he believes and it's entertaining. Sometimes it gets a little overboard, but you know what? If he could face down Josh Emmett and pull the repeat of the Edson Barboza night where I'm 100% invested on Team Bryce, right? Thinking he's going to get a title shot. Or like, let's say he goes against the winner of Taporia or Volkanovski, right? Like a Taporia too. I don't know. Ilya might win that fight. But he's looking for a redemption. He's looking to step up his game a little bit. And I really hope he comes out on top because he knows. He knows in order to make it to the top, you have to fight these big guys, right? And I really hope in his fight camp he is prepared because I don't want to see him take Josh Emmett lightly. I don't want to see him get too into talk shows with Eddie Bravo talking about flat Earth while he does Josh Emmett. Because if he gets distracted again, we're going to see another Ilya Taporia incident. Bryce Mitchell needs focus. I want to see this guy go places. I've said enough. But on paper, I think Josh Emmett wins. But Bryce needs to defile the paper a little bit.